Hey everybody, it's Z uh, for the Plejaren Diaries. I just wanted to put in a little bit more and continue from where I left off the last time on the one-on-ones. Uh, I think where we left off was after Mother had given me the blessing, and then uh, what uh, what was next? Sam Jess and Snake Lady wanted to teach or help further uh, my understanding of sensing. And sensing is like the kind of the key to everything that they talk about. You in sensing, you can heal, you can pretty much anything you imagine. It's that thing about magic, right? The things that these people seem to be able to do that we only see as, you know, possibilities, things like that, like levitation and all these sort of things, healing, like like you see in the Bible and you hear about people do it, being able to do these healings, all these miraculous things, right? Well, it all stems from sensing, and to do the sensing, you have to just completely let go. You have to completely empty your body or surrender yourself, surrender your soul or consciousness, whatever you may call that, and just go really deep inside and activate gratitude. Find something of absolute unconditional love uh, within yourself, and then it'll start to activate. But we'll get a little bit more into that. So anyway, Sam Jess and Snake Lady put me on one of these chairs again, and they started to like Snake Lady was really working on my legs, and I could feel like each one of them has a little bit different, um, I guess, touch. You feel like a static and things like that. Well, it's just slightly different with each one of them, and hers, Snake Lady's, is kind of tough, kind of. She's different, and so is the way uh, her response is to things. And so, anyway, she starts working my legs, and it's almost like my whole body is starting to go away. And Sam Jess is talking to me, and she's working like more my head and areas, and trying just to get me to relax. And for me, the like the head, I mean, a massage on the head, I just disappear. And so, and a lot of times, just like everybody, it's really kind of hard to let go sometimes, just totally and completely release. Although I have an advantage of being with these people because they put me in that position. They also take me through a lot of other things, but one thing I can do is trust. And so that's kind of a necessary ingredient. And so, anyways, as Snake Lady's working my legs and Sam Jess is working my shoulders, she's also telling me, to go deeper and to go deeper, to let go, and then start to find the gratitude that you have, that's within you, that's embedded within you, embedded in your cells. And for me, one of the main things is the time I made my real first rescue of children, and I won't go into the whole thing, but and that's another thing I just want to plug in here is that every time somebody buys a book, all the profits for the book goes to the quest. This is my charity. We're the best in the world at what we do, and we don't necessarily follow a lot of rules, but we stay within the limits, right? Uh, the law is human law, and so anyway, that first rescue of mine was so intense to me in so many different ways and so beautiful, because we made this rescue, and what happened was I ended up with this little like 4 to 5 year old girl. And when we were exiting the place, I didn't get a big enough van, I don't think. When you're in Asia, sometimes vehicles are quite different, and my expectation, it was kind of off a little bit there. But we all had to crowd into this van, and I believe there was like 14 kids, and this was the last one, and she was yelling and screaming. She was scared to death. She didn't know what was going on, and so we get into this van. There's nowhere to put her, so she ends up on my lap, and and I got some garb on and everything, and which probably helped make it more intense for her. And so we had a long ride to go to the safe house, and in that process, I took off parts of my garb and stuff, made me look more human and things. And on the way, it was like a 3 hour ride, like I say, and we're well into it, and I'm trying not to look at her because I don't want to scare her anymore. I just want to get to that safe house where we can start taking care of everything. And in the process, I'm looking out the window and I just feel, how you feel somebody staring at you. And I said, don't look, and don't look. And then all of a sudden I looked and our eyes met. And this little girl had calmed down and everything. And everything was really working its way through me at that time, what we just accomplished and having this cargo, this precious cargo, uh, and I was a part of that. And so with this little girl, and I looked into her eyes, how they say the eyes are the windows to the soul. And it was the exact, you can hear the words and they don't mean nothing until it actually happens. And so anyways, I remember going through these levels of emotion within myself and still having to be strong. So I had to have one face here and one face there. And I just felt this immense love for this little kid, and knowing that where she was and where she was going to go. And um, I start to see her face, and immediately I start to feel good, and I could see everything about her face, everything in her face. I mean, so detailed, and it starts to become real, right? Like it's happening again, and I'm in that exact moment. And when you find something of that pure gratitude and unconditional love, what you want to do is you want to hold on to that and just keep it going. Just let it go, let it play all the way through. And when that happens, you have already moved into what they call sensing. And that's where you have the ability to do just about anything that you can imagine. And so uh, they managed to get me into there and into that space of consciousness. And um, it just seems like it changed everything about the way I see stuff and everything. Of course, at the very outset, it was a little difficult, but then once that was over and all, um, I'm back at home, and uh, of course, I'm doing my things and stuff, and I feel the static. It seems like the signal, and that they want to talk to me or something. And so suddenly Sam Jess shows up, and um, really didn't have anywhere to be or do or anything like that. But so I asked her, so you want to go do something? And she's like, well, yeah, and kind of resist it, at the same time. And then it's like, well, what do you want to do? And I said, well, let's go. I want to take you to this place. And she, I go, and she's not really a fan of the Jeep. And she doesn't like motion so much. And so it was kind of comical, I get her out to the Jeep and everything. And what my plan was is there's a beach nearby here on the ocean, and it's very secluded. And so I can actually drive right up into the beach, and um, nobody's around. The only trash there is from the trees and things like that. And you get a perfect view of the ocean and the sky and stuff like that at night. And so, anyways, that's what we did. And um, she, like I say, really, really does not like riding in the Jeep. And but it didn't take. I'm not that far from the beach, so it didn't take long to get there. I think 15 or 20 minutes, something like that. I did try to hit all the bumps just to get her over her nervousness. But anyways, we get to the beach, and um, I park it, and then we uh, go sit on the hood. I said, you can tell me about the sky, the things that I don't know. I know a little bit about it, but I don't know a lot. And so, anyways, we jump up on there, and it didn't dawn on me about I waxed my Jeep a lot, and we jumped up there, and she slides off the hood and right down on her ass onto the ground, and she's a little peeved about that. But anyways, I get her back up there, I get a blanket on there and stuff, and so we're laying there and we're looking at the stars, right? And so, I start to notice as I'm trying to find one of them to question her about. I start to feel this. I don't know what it was, but I almost felt like there was somebody there. And then I started seeing the lights, as you do in Florida all the time, that were moving around that doesn't fit, sort of thing. And um, anyways, I said, she goes, uh, what do you want to know? I says, well, how do I talk to them? And so, and she, didn't blink, and just said, remember the sensing that we were showing you? And yeah, I know. And she goes, well, just go there, and that's the funny thing about when you hear people talk about setting the intent, right? Well, we've already got the intent within us, and instantly when I saw that, that's the first thing I thought of, is talk to them. And so anyway, so she tells me to go into the sensing, and so I'm breathing and I'm just relaxing and trying to melt and just become part of the hood in a sense. And I start to bring up the what I was just telling you about, the little girl, and the gratitude and the appreciation I have for life, and the abilities that I've been blessed with and on. And I'm going in there and it's starting to become real again. And I'm seeing things even more clearly, I think, than when I was actually there. And as I got there, all of a sudden I heard this, like somebody talking right in my ear. Have you ever heard that? Or you just, nobody's around and you hear somebody talking in your ear. And I see her here, hello, and then hello. And all I could think of was to say greetings and salutations, like from the movie. And, uh, so I had made the connection. And like, I look at Sam Jess, my eyes are all big. And she goes, yeah, I heard it too. And so that's what I wanted to tell you, is how that works and the experiences that they brought me through. And I've had training before, but it's never been so deep and so intense. It's almost as though that I learned all that I could from this realm, and then it took something, whatever it is, that these people. Well, I'll be bringing it up later, I guess. Don't want to blow the whole thing for you, but anyway, so I made the connection, and then it was kind of funny. Afterwards, she said she was going to go now, and I says, "Well, get in," and she's like, "No, I think I'll pass." And right about that time, this light shows up, and boom, she's gone. And so, anyways, that was that one. And then I'm at home again. This is further down the road here. I'm at home and I start to feel the sensing, but I mean the static, but it was a little different this time, so I knew to expect somebody. And uh, I hear at the door, and it was different. It wasn't like Sam Jess does and stuff. So I went over and opened it up, and in front of me was Captain, and he was dressed in a sweatsuit, and it was hilarious to me. But anyway, I told him to come in, and he seemed really nervous, and he was explaining to me that he felt it necessary, in order for us more to connect, not just me and him, but the other guys and the people in the family. And so that's why he had come. And so first thing I asked him is, "Hey, you want to go for a ride in Jeep?" And it was like, no, I was talking to Sam Jess and didn't think it would be such a good idea, at least this time and all. And so anyways, we go back to the ship, and he starts to explain to me about the uh, something they hadn't told me. They kind of take it for granted, I guess, and he wanted me to know that when we come through into the ship, every time I go into the ship, there's like these filters and different things that cleanse the air, rids any of the bacteria or anything that could be harmful, to them or to me. And it's a regular process that this ship does. And so but it doesn't remove everything, because if it did that, then you wouldn't have any exercise, so to speak, of your antibodies, or, I'm not a doctor, nothing, of course, but anyway, so it allows for some, but nothing harmful. And also now Hans and Franz are there and on, and he starts to explain to me, or have Hans explain to me, because they don't really have doctors, but he would be what I would call a doctor if I had to label something. Hans, he's the surfer looking dude, and he, anyways, he starts to explain that they found all these scars because of your skin, right? And it picks up abnormalities and things like that. And I've had all these scars and bullet holes and such in me, and so it came, through. And also I have some tumors in my shoulder, uh, and also at the time I couldn't. I had difficulty with my arm, and they were able to tell that it was the elastic, as he explained it. They try to use downed words so that I can understand, but the elastic was broken or something, and yeah, that was true. And so, but they didn't understand all these scars and stuff that happened to me, and so I'm trying to explain to them there are people who a lot of the scars are natural. We all have scars somewhere, most of us anyway. And in my case, I had a lot more, and I had to explain, that you know hurt and stuff like that, where I've been shot and been stabbed and cut, that sort of thing, and that they're trying to understand this. And I tell them, well, sometimes people put themselves in harm's way, in order to defend or help other people's. And so it's not always a great choice, but somebody's got to do it, right? And so, anyways, I'm explaining that to them, and they're not fully understanding. And so I explained to them, like other things will occur too, where, I've been left, I was in a prison in another country, and I was near death, and I had to be rescued. Uh, and so, you know, you break bones, and they saw bones that were broken, and those sort of things also in me. And that, um, anyway, I hope not leaving too much out there. And so, anyways, they wanted, they needed to know more. They didn't really they hadn't got the full understanding of what it was. And so I'm, thinking of a movie, because that seemed to be what was working in the communication with them, is that they would see the movie and they wouldn't quite understand it, but at least their questions would be more directed, and so that I could answer more, rather than sitting like in the past for 16 hours on one thing, right? And so, anyway, I told them I'd show them this movie and stuff, and they were like, "Oh, okay," and all that, and so when I decided, well, it's time, we are going to split up for now, and I went to find Sam Jess, and she was standing over at the edge in the hallway with her arms crossed, looking at me, like, "How dare you leave me out of the conversation," sort of thing. And so, anyway, I went. I went up there, and she grabs me by the arm, and she's pulling me down the way to take me into the room. She goes, "You're going to show me this movie?" And, I was still scrambling in my head what I was going to show them that wouldn't make them fearful of me, but that was going to happen anyway. And that was one of the things that I had to overcome. And I don't know if I talked to that about that before, but becoming negative, where you have to be completely open. There is no hiding it. When you get on a ship, you turn the switch off, right? And you leave, you turn it back on, because there you are who you are. And then there, you can't hide anything from them, because they don't like that. They would not connect with me the way they had, unless I was completely vulnerable to them in that sense. And so, I'm debating about, wow, if I show them this and they scare, I don't want this relationship to end, at least not yet. I mean, because I'm just getting to understand them, getting to know things and see things. And so, anyways, we go in a room, and she had a bed there, like when she showed me um, the where all the ships were going to be, and I had they sent me out to go look at that and see how I reacted to it, and what I would ask about it and such. But so, anyways, she puts down the bed and um, pushes me in, so I'm laying there, and then she crawls across, and it's kind of funny how she's done that from the beginning to now, where elbows, knees, anything to make it uncomfortable when she crosses over me. And then so she gets there, and there's this like thing that she just opens up with her hand that is like a screen, and it's right above us, so we can lay in the bed and we can watch this. And I tell her the movie Taken is what I chose. Not that it was, and I'm explaining to her, this isn't me, but this will give you the idea, because it also had the connection with family. It had the connection with the guy's daughter, and then what he had to go through in order to get to her. And it kind of like crams my whole life into one little spot, right? And so um, she puts it on, she finds it, and I tell her it's okay. And so I'm thinking, man, this is going to be bad. But anyways, we start watching the movie, and as the process goes through, um, it was I was looking at Sam Jess, and she was like so involved, and so within this movie, she was seeing it, feeling it, trying to understand everything that was taking place. And she was just collecting all the stuff she didn't understand. Not that she didn't understand what was going on, but how could people be like this? And I'm thinking, yeah, this is bad. It was a nice time here on the ship, but and thank God nobody else is listening to it or watching it yet, and I could get the reaction off her. Maybe I wouldn't show it to the rest of them. But anyway, as it progressed, I could start hearing noises in the rest of the ship, where, in other words, I could tell that everybody was watching. So it's like I wasn't told that, right? I thought it was just me and Sam Jess that was watching it. And so anyways, it went on, and it gets near the end, and where the main character finds his daughter, and there's a guy between him and her, and then what he has to do in order to get to her. And when he finally finishes it, he grabs her and holds her, and her face is up in the screen right now. It's like, and there's tears coming down her eyes, and not even once looked at me during this whole thing. She was so intense in the whole watching this. And so afterwards, she climbs over me, and she goes, "You go to sleep now," sort of thing. And she could tell I was pretty tired, I think. And it's really nice and easy to sleep there. So anyways, I sleep, and I get up later, and I could smell coffee, which is awesome. And I'm thinking that, yeah, that's cool. It's like my last drink or whatever. It was what I'm going through in my head. And so how am I going to explain this to them in a way that they don't fear me and things like that? And so I get my coffee, and she goes, let me know when you're ready. And it's like, ready for what, right? So I go, okay. And I take the coffee, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm laying there on this soft mattress, and in this beautiful environment, and I'm thinking about all these people that I've met just recently, and how far we had come, and now it could all be over at this point. And so I'm finished my coffee, and I get up, and of course she stands right there. She comes right in, and I'm there. She takes me out, and they're all gathered in what I call the living room, the front of the ship, the large area, and they're all around me, and just it was so beautiful. I mean, I could tell that they were emotionally taken by what they witnessed, and then trying to apply that to me. And so I believe it was the captain that spoke, and he was saying that he had no idea, and he understands why they see us as monsters and stuff, which I think, oh, this isn't going good. And they were just feeling pain for me, and because they know me. And so many times in my life, I've been into churches where many pastors had gathered and stuff, where I would do a speech about the class, and they would lay their hands on me, and it was always really powerful. And yet this time, this is what they were doing. It was almost as though that was their intention, was to put their hands on me and help help relieve that pain from me is what I felt. They weren't saying anything, but it was so lovingly, they was putting their hands on me. And I was just like overcome. I didn't know if it was because of what they were doing or if their intention was to, shove me down to the ground. But I'm feeling all this stuff just leave me. And I break down and I hit the floor, right down to my knees, and they're all around me. And I could start to hear them sobbing, and I'm seeing the beauty of how much they are similar to us, but they feel things so much deeper than we do. But I think it's because they allow themselves to, because of, again, what you'll find out later, um, in another video. Can't give it all away, right? But anyways, they had removed that from me, the pains and the things that I still felt about those parts of my life, and I could see them like flashing. And I don't know if they had something to do with that or not, but I could see this like a reel going through my head really fast of all these things that I had to go through and overcome, and for the reasons sometimes good and sometimes bad. And then we just, you know, after that, they explained to me how they felt about all this, and that it was okay. And I knew right at that moment it was a highly emotional moment for me and them, I think, is they had accepted that of me because I didn't hide anything. And I mean, that's representative in so many things in our lives, not necessarily just like these people, but when you're vulnerable, absolutely, completely vulnerable, then it's kind of odd how we have this idea of how it's going to turn out before it happens, and it's not true. And when we do release ourselves like that, we're being in our truth and in the purest sense. And so, anyways, that's what happened when I told them that. And obviously, I'm still with them. So it worked, right? And so I got to go back to finish my coffee, my Plejaren coffee. So, anyways, that's it for this time. I'll have more coming up. So, anyways, really appreciate you watching, and if you want to help this out, because anything to do to help raise funds for my charity and things like that, just like this video, maybe even comment on it if you want. Um, Show it around, share it with people. I'd really appreciate it. But so this is still in the first book, and now I'm already got 3 of them out in less than a year, and there could be more. So this stuff just keeps happening. Anyways, bless you so much for watching, and appreciate you. Hope you're enjoying these things. All right, see ya.